Day 24 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, guys, we're back again for another LeetCode problem. Another day, another LeetCode problem. You know how we do. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to run them subscriptions up. I'm trying to run that engagement up, and I need you guys' help to help me do that. So go ahead, drop that bank emoji in the comments, or go ahead, drop a LeetCode question that you want me to answer in the future, and I'll get to it when I can. So let's see what question we have here today. We have question number 443, string compression. Difficulty level is medium. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, we're doing the LeetCode 75. We're in the middle of LeetCode 75. Question 443. Difficulty level is medium. So we already know how we do. We're going to make it as simple as possible so everybody can learn and understand what we're doing. So let's see what the question says. It says, given an array of characters chars, compress it using the following algorithm. Begin with an empty string S. For each group of consecutive repeating characters in chars, if the group's length is 1, append the character to S. Otherwise, append the character followed by the group's length. The compressing string S should not be returned separately, but instead be stored in the input character array chars. Note that group lengths are 10 or longer will be split into multiple characters in chars. After you are done modifying the input array, return a new length of the array. You must write an algorithm that uses only constant extra space. Whew! Now that's a lot to take in right there. I know that's hard to understand for some of y'all because that was hard to understand for me. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I figured it out. I know what they're talking about now, so hopefully I can make it make sense to you guys as well. Let's look at the example one. It says input chars equals A, B, B, C, C, C. The output should return 6, and the first 6 characters of the input array should be A2, B2, C3. The explanation, the groups are AA, BB, and CCC. This compressed to A2, B2, and C3. So let's look at this example one and see what it is that they're talking about. Because even the example can look a little tricky, but once you get it and see what they're saying, it'll be a little easier to understand. So let's see. First, it says chars is AA, BB, CCC, and return 6. So we want to first, the 6 comes from the output is A2, B2, C3. There are 6 elements in that array. That's where the 6 comes from. Then you see, now let's look at the characters that are in the array. You have AA, then the number 2. That's because there are 2 A's up here, so you put A and then 2. Instead of writing AA, you just put A and put 2 because there are 2 A's. And remember, the goal is to compress the string. Then we go down to B. There are 2 B's, so we put B and then we put 2 because there are 2 B's. Then the 3 C's, so we come down here and we say C and then 3. So we're basically counting how many letters are in each, how many letters appear the same time, and then we return that down here with the number of letters that's there. So and then we count how many indexes are in that final array that we're returning, and that's where the 6 comes from. Let's look at example 2 because it could get a little tricky. So in example 2, the input is chars A, and we return 1, and the first character of the input array should be A. This is the explanation. This is the only group. The only group is A, which remains uncompressed since it is a single character. So since it's only one character, we're just appending that. We're not putting 1 because if we put 1, now we have 2 characters in the array and we started with 1. And remember, the goal is to shrink or compress the array. So if we want to make the array shorter, we don't want to make the array longer. So if we put A1, that's going to be counterproductive because now the array is longer than it was. Now the array would have 2 elements instead when the initial input array only had 1 element. If we put A and then we put a 1, 2, now that the output would have 2 elements, that's not what we want because remember, we want to compress it. So if there's only 1 letter in the array or there's only 1 of that letter, we don't put the number 1 next to it. We just put that letter. So for this, it's A. and the output is A. It's not A1, it's just A. Whereas up here it's two A's, we put A2. Down here is one A, but we're not putting the one because we want the array, the number of elements in the array to be equal to or less than what we already have. So if we add a one here, then we would have two elements in the array when we only started with one, and that is not how you compress something. So let's look at example 3 and see what example 3 says. Example 3 is a little bit more tricky, but we could get through it. It's not that tricky. So example 3 says input chars equals A, B, 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 B. Basically it's 12 B's, right? So what we want to do, or let's count them. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 B's. So yes, we have 12 B's. But if you look at the output, you will see that it says 1 and 2. It's not 1, 2 in the same. The 12 is still split up into two different elements. It's not just a 1 and a 2. It's a 1, comma 2. If that makes any sense for 12. But at the end of the day, we have 1A, so we put an A right here. And then we have 12 B's, so we put B, then we put 1, 2 for 12. And explanation, these groups are A and B, 12 B's. This compresses to AB 12, and that's why we have A, B, 1, 2 for AB 12. So let's figure out how we are going to solve this problem, guys. It's not that hard. It's not even that much code. It's a little bit of code, but we should be able to get through it. So let's start that. First thing we are going to do is we're going to say var index equals 0, and we'll say var I equals 0. Then we're going to come down here, we're going to say while I is less than chars.count. Then we're going to declare another variable. We'll call that j, and that j is going to be equal to I plus 1, which is going to let us loop through the elements after I. And to do that, we're going to say while j is less than chars.count and chars j is equal to chars I, because remember we want to count the elements that are the same, so we need chars j to be equal to chars I. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say j plus equals 1. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to say chars index is equal to, just one equal sign, chars I. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to increment the index. I'm going to say index plus equals 1, right? Then we're going to come down here and we're going to say if j minus I is greater than 1, then what we're going to do, we're going to say for C in string j minus I, come right here and we're going to say chars index equals C. Then we're going to come down here, we're going to do index plus equals 1 again. Then we're going to come down here, we're going to say I equals j. And we're going to come right here and we're going to say return index. Now let's run it and see what happens. Oh yeah, it's accepted. First try, no mistakes or nothing. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I like to see. So let's submit it and see what happens. Accepted 13 milliseconds, and it beats 96.57% of users with Swifts. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We're getting better. It's a learning practice. It's a learning curve. We're just going to keep learning. We're just going to keep learning as much as we can. Every day we're here learning until we learn what we need to learn. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry, I'll be here tomorrow. If you have trouble, I'll be here tomorrow. Until then, I'll see you guys later.